as the losers of game 2 have selected blue side, it seems EDG was onto something. First pick is valuable.
And I think what they were onto here, as far as RNG, they know that they've got an issue with the champion pool for Cryan and so much overloading on the mid lane here with them having to ban on red side the Twisted Fate. They want to trade up in bans at the cost of maybe some flexibility for the guaranteed counter pick for Xiaohu. So yes, they kind of trade up for Cryan, but they trade down for a guaranteed counter pick.
Yeah, they also don't have to ban the Lee Sin on blue side. They did ban that both in game 1 and game 2, so potentially opens that one up. I'm really curious to see if EDG will leave open the Galio here and kind of force RNG into a weird trade. Do you get something like a Lee Sin, or do you value that Galio so highly?
The Jarvan ban to me is really questionable from RNG, considering there are such high value champions on the side of EDG they've gone to over and over and over. This is, I mean, it very well could be the Xiaohu Lucian. I'm still in hopes that they're not locking it into that and keeping it flexible.
Anytime I see a Yuumi ban, my brain goes Lucian Nami, right? That is the counter, right? Yuumi is the counter to Lucian Nami. That is advantaged. Otherwise, unless you're going to bring out a Soraka or a Lulu, your matchups are bad.
And even though RNG did play Xiaohu on topside Lucian with the changes to crit,
yeah,
I didn't like it as much. you know, not nearly as much as when he used to play before the changes to being so much more reliant on crit.
I feel like the problem with this is that I don't care to see Ming on an Enchanter. I feel like Ming is such a pivotal player on this team of being able to fulfill that engage role, look for picks, make roams up towards topside. He has played things like the Karma and Lulu this year. He's always been known as a bit of a Morgana player, so he does play Enchanters. I just don't think it really suits RNG's playstyle all too well.
Well, we'll see if it goes anywhere. Obviously, waiting to see what was locked down. Lulu was not grabbed just yet. Obviously, if Nami gets grabbed, Lulu is the obvious answer. That 2-on-2 feels pretty reasonable. And, you know, maybe it gets somewhere weird, right? Where you get an unanswered lane. You're like, do you want to answer bot lane? Do you want to answer mid lane? Obviously, top laner already grabbed for Flandre.
Yeah, we've seen the Aphelios plus Lulu, even sometimes taking double exhaust into lanes that want to try and punish the lane phase there to be able to deal with it. The Xin Zhao comes. This is the full effect of the Jarvan ban in round 3. You're trying to pinch on jungle, but we probably need to see the Nami ban locked in here if it's a bottom lane Lucian. If not, definitely going to get targeted and very well could be the Xiaohu top sides. Very famous for it, but again, more crit reliant, changes the build a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Xiaohu, just such a monster on this champion so far. Again, I don't expect to go down towards bot. I even think the key is definitely being Ming on something that has agency. Now I want to see where EDG do go themselves, because you can try and go for something like an Olaf once again, but I think I'd prefer to see maybe lock in some AP sooner, but no, they're going to go straight towards it.
I actually love Olaf playing into Galio, because you can start off a lot of fights on the target, and then Olaf is one of the few champions that doesn't have to pull off when Galio ult does come in, and you can very frequently still finish your kill target. Can be the difference between taking down the Lucian or not taking down the Lucian. You know, the magic shield also doesn't do very much for you at all when you're facing so much AD with a Grave solo locked in.
Exactly. Every single thing that Galio does to peel, Olaf is immune to. Magic shield, don't care. Knockup, don't care. Taunt, don't care. Second knockup, still don't care. And you can just knock down the target. So I do love it for that. Problem is, Lucian is quite escapable, and Olaf can't shoot over walls, for example, so sometimes target selection is rough.
Yeah, sometimes definitely, because it pulls you in two directions as far as your smite too. Sometimes when you're facing stuff like Zen, you know, these melee champs that you want to all in and win those duels, you go red smite, but if you're going into Lucian and you want that target, the slow from smite being guaranteed, helping you land your first axe, is actually so big for Olaf. So you can then throw your axes right at their feet, and that is a lot of your damage too. Jumping back into those support bans though, they still feel like the flexibility possibility from Lucian is there, so I like that. You draw it a little bit more with the pick.
I also love taking away the Ziggs, because if there's one team who still would gravitate back towards a Zig pick, it definitely would be RNG. It'd be fine down on the bottom side. Yeah. When I'm looking at these drafts so far, I feel like with Cryan's champion pool, with how this has turned out so far, RNG are going to be very much funneled into a draft that needs to get ahead, snowball early through topside, to where now we look at EDG. They have so much range to play through. They're always going to be able to win contests for mid wave. They have scaling there. They have early game pressure there. They got a bit of it all, Kobe.
Oh no, RNG are funneled into a comp that has to snowball topside? Oh, where have I seen that before? Gala though, on his most played champion at Worlds, Misfortune would be huge. Galio ult plus Misfortune ult is one of those combos that is tried and true. Your Xin can almost always start off the fights. Ooh, the Recon is a really big extra kind of linchpin here that does bring it together as far as forcing that engage and giving you that extra speed. The dive buddy with the Xin to get a really good Galio ultimate placement.
And I feel like for RNG, right, it's super clear. We talked about it. It's about snowballing topside. Ming now going to be able to play a role in trying to find backline access and set up the Galio. But for EDG, I feel like they have so many tools to keep RNG at bay. They have so much range to play from. They have Disengage coming out from the Azir ultimate. They have the Lulu ultimate to keep things like the burst from Lucian and Zinzao from coming out. And I just really like what EDG have put together.
And you know what? I would actually take Flandre's Graves over Xiaohu's Lucian. That may be blasphemy to many people, but Flandre has been absolutely killing it, okay? And he gets no resources. The difference maker is, of course, all of RNG's resources are pointing towards topside. You know, you're gonna have Recon Rums, you're gonna have Galio Ultimates, you're gonna have Zinzao up there. But I just want to shout out Flandre for how outstanding he has been and continually going back to this Graves. He has really provided for the team.
Especially, you know, focusing on Flandre because he was one of the most criticized members of EDG, especially in Spring Split of this year. A lot of people saying Flandre maybe not good enough to be on this roster, but ever since summer and especially playoffs in LPL now at Worlds, Flandre's definitely been stepping up. He can play with resources, he can play by himself, and it all looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the big differences in statistics here for top lane are actually not even CSD. Flandre came into this series #1 CSD for top lane with one of the lowest jungle proximities of all top laners, whereas Xiaohu, of course, is #1 in those jungle proximity and a lot of the resources that do go up there, but he's definitely done well for himself.
Well, here we go. On to the Rift for the third game of this best of 5. 1-1, we are tied up, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this one. Lucian versus Graves in the top lane is going to be a blast to watch for sure. My eyes are also on the EDG bot lane. Lulu into Rakan is Lulu favored. You generally can stymie all of his engage tools, and you have the poke advantage as well. So I'm expecting big things out of Viper on an outstanding teamfight champion.
All right, some pretty early goals for RNG as well are incredibly important because this team does need to get that early lead with the roam to open up the map. Biggest #1 goal for the early stages, try and get those turret plates, try and get those outer turrets down. You know, focus towards topside so you can get Rift Herald to help you in that endeavor. If he gets an advantageous trade on topside, that's nice, but it's so early in the game, he'll just recall. Maybe it actually affords the extended invade.
I don't know how you get anything more than that, though. So you get to pad your DPM stats. You get to help kind of guarantee your wards go where you want them, but everyone, of course, can heal up in time.
Yeah, if you could stall them a little bit more, 50 around 3 to 4 seconds is the timer where you're not going to be able to get back to your first buff in time for initial spawn. You can delay them a little bit in there clear, so sometimes those chunks go a long way. Also, Olaf actually doesn't care about early chunks at all because of his passive. Just increases his clear speed anyway, so dependent on champion, doesn't even actually help. So let's see about the sweeper transfer over for Ming. Comes off cooldown, not gonna get it though.
All right, so Rebel's gonna be leashed. This is in full vision. Edward Gaming have complete knowledge of what RNG are up to. In fact, they even see Wei cutting the buff to the left-hand side. We've seen this time and time again from Xin Zhao. You are not gonna take the Krugs. You're gonna be more towards the mid side, ready to kind of react to whatever's going on. So EDG aware of those movements. And I believe also Olaf was spotted going Raptor start towards red.
I also love that we're talking about like awareness and information because we've talked a lot about what RNG want to do in the early game, and they pretty much have set up for ganks throughout all lanes with CC and damage. For EDG, I feel like it's a lot more simple. For Jeja, you just need to track where Wei is and look for counterplays. You yourself don't need to look for any aggressive plays. Maybe once we do start to get closer to the level 6 mark, or once Krine does back for some boots, controlling vision around mid lane can be an important objective for EDG, but you're pretty much fine just chilling, making sure Wei's ganks don't pay off.
In the early top lane, obviously it is the sustain of Fleet Footwork, helping Graves feel pretty all right. And now on the bottom side, of course, yes, indeed. What did we expect? But Viper and Mako have the early push lead. Every single game in this series, they have picked a 2-on-2 that has the early push. In game 1, RNG found a way around it. But in game 2, EDG had control the whole way through and snowballed partially off that lane. We'll see how game 3 goes, but it's already Gala forced to drop a lot of farm in this lane.
Yeah, and you can have some pretty big counterplay to what RNG are showing as far as their early goals in this game if you retain bottom side supremacy and push. Because if they overload on top side, if they overload going for Rift Trails, then you can get some turret plates, but that's for sure a dive.
3v1, who pulls aggro? Probably going to be Galio first, takes the shot, runs away, the flash from Flandre. He was never going to live, and that is everything you'd ever want for RNG.
This is literally the most classic EDG. You've got your Xiaohu Lucian, you've got your early triple stacked wave dive, teleport from Cryan goes in, everybody's spending resources for top side, and they get paid for it.
I don't know if they have the damage to do it, but GJ's here, and obviously the mid TP can't be answered. The problem is Xiaohu is intelligently saving his TP on the walk back to the top. As Ming walks up, he's like, okay, something ain't right. Yes, indeed, Olaf is here. This is a wave sacrificed at least.
I mean, it's literally the RNG book. Xiaohu builds his wave, calls for the teleport, jungle timing for the dive. They get the huge benefit here of him not actually even having to use his own teleport. They actually push in, he walks all the way back, so now you've got also topside teleport advantage. Cryan though,
kind of spotted right now. First slow, good. Early flash, I think that one is required, honestly. Second time in a row, early jungle gank as Cryan flash down.
Yeah, I mean, he had to, right? He just did use his E, so wouldn't have any other way of looking to get away. I also want to go back to that RNG play and say the way they, like, synced up Cryan's recall with the waves, very nice. EDG, at least trying to get some CS off of Gala. You can see Viper already building up a nice CS lead for himself. And for EDG, realistically, as long as you don't fall, you know, 3,000-4,000 gold behind, I feel like even a bit of a small deficit should be expected with the way that drafts have panned out so far. Cryan's still not level 6, so I think for RNG, it's quite nice that they use that TP early because they will be able to make pretty much 2 sequential plays, to where typically a team would really only get 1 before that level 6 point.
23-38 is the CS in bottom lane, and that's without a gank really coming through, just the pressure of JJ coming around. So it is top focus versus bot focus. Gold is tied despite first blood unanswered.
And RNG know that they are going to give up a lot to the possible scaling here from EDG. Because they're committing so hard topside, your Azir is going to get free farm. Your Azir is going to be a mid-game monster. So is your Aphelios there for Viper as he continually chunks down on the turret. Good time on the shielding there from Mako to immune most of the shot. And one more should be able to get the plate money for them.
I would like to see Ming kind of play a little bit more behind the turret, like force the Infernum AoE to pull aggro and make that a bit more awkward. Not going to matter a lot, as you mentioned, the plate does still go down. And now we have Wei looking at round 2 topside, maybe. Again, Flandre TP-less. Will we have to play? Galio's on the way over already.
Not Cryan, still not level 6 though, but it looks like they should be able to get it. JJ not in a spot to answer, and Scout doesn't have TP.
Does he have enough crowd control to knock down Flandre for long enough? The dash forward, the W for the slow. Cryan has Predator on, here comes the taunt, and there's not much you can do. Xiaohu misses the assist, but he's denying waves.
Flandre all by himself once again, my friend, and Cryan 2 things out of the Roma towards mid. He gets away from JJ coming to try and punish his flash. Predator right up to the top side, even though you know it's coming with RNG. You know 100% of the time, there's no defense in place here for EDG, and they are giving them the preferred game plan to RNG.
And they're not even looking to really cross-map, right? You didn't send JJ back down to like try and zone them off the wave. You didn't send him straight to Dragon. They're just behind trying to answer plays. Like you're saying, Kobe, not only with RNG's playstyle, but with their draft, you should know to expect that these are coming.
Well, they didn't see Wei cross the river, and by the time Cryan left, it was actually too late. He was running away, and it's like, Xin Zhao's here. I guess I'm stun locked. Okay, you know, touche. Shouldn't have burned the flash during the dive, to be fair. Yes, that is one thing, but that wave was always forfeit. Sadly, the EDG bot lane was on a reset, so it's like, well, best I can get you as a solo dragon. It's like, well, that's too bad, because the last 2 turret plates top.
Yeah, I mean, also, they're not really talking about the possibilities ahead of time, you can kind of see, because Flandre trades back some damage with this in. You know, he's trading damage thinking, oh, maybe I can get this counter kill, maybe I can punish him a bit for coming up here. But the communication about, yes, Cryan will be open with Predator ready, by the way. So your attempt at trying to punish jungler is going to result in your death on top of those turret plates. The turret plates were the guaranteed part of the tray. Then the extra kill going over is just bonus on top there for Cryan to make sure that he doesn't fall too far behind.
Yeah, and I think especially now that we're getting to the point where Rift Herald is about to spawn, and there's only 2 plates left on top side, RNG are in a pretty good position to look for a challenge for this. Xiaohu just getting his base off and coming out with some good item spikes. The one problem is EDG have had bot side push the whole time. So Viper and Mako will be able to get here first. Looks like RNG might just look to concede because Gala and Ming aren't even moving.
Well, based on lane pressure,
they should.
Yeah.
So they're already pinging on the wave right now, so they for sure are giving it up. They want to push in, and at least this way, you don't give up a lot of resources. It's going to be the full swap from EDG, so they swap up to top side here to get Flandre away from all this focus. And bottom side, you know, Gala's going to try and get his plate off of the turret, plus they got the wave pushed in.
I do gotta say, this has been one of my favorite adaptations we've seen out from Aphelios teams at Worlds, is realizing how quickly you do push and committing to the full swaps to just try and get that turret first. Also, like you said, Kobe does relieve pressure from Flandre, so a very obvious rotation in previous splits happening now, but RNG still looking to contest.
Possibly spooky. JJ shows himself, and he's like, oh, okay, never mind, we gotta leave for this one. It could have been an interesting 2v2. 2v3 is not a play that you want. Quick pause. I will tell you what that's about once I hear about it. Again, worth noting, it is a 1,000 gold lead to RNG. The EDG not only got the first dragon, which kind of closed that gap a little bit, but with that Herald, I feel like if that's cashed in any remotely useful scenario, this game is going to feel like it's tied. It's worth noting, the bot lane CSD is like 26. As many kills are in top lane, bot is getting clapped.
Yeah, you want to talk about useful scenario? Guess what? It's going to go topside for Aphelios, and already he's turbo fed. As much as we're talking about playing right into the iconic gameplay for RNG, topside, spend all your resources, get Xiao ahead early, try and control the map that way. Guess what? You're funneling one of the best players in the entire world, Viper, huge carry on Aphelios. His Aphelios play literally got them to this position here at Worlds in playoffs.
Game 5.
With that huge save. So, you know, definitely a very dangerous combination that they know all too well.
And I think it's just something we've been talking about the whole time, right? Is that even if EDG fall a few thousand gold behind, like the gold, the items, the stats don't mean too much. It'd be about what RNG could do with that map control and try and grow it. So the fact that it's still relatively even, the fact that your Aphelios is the one getting bigger, it's like, hey, they have range advantage. You're going to be able to continuously poke you off objectives, and they have so much disengaged to deny the plays you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of like heads-up team fighting. Like, yes, okay, Rakan has engaged, and you can have like the Galio follow-up and whatnot, but it feels like, look, if your Fed member is top lane versus top lane, like that's your pressure valve, right? Like, you're not going to group up for the IV5 and be like, can't wait to fight a 10 CS per minute Azir and a 10 CS per minute Aphelios. Like, that's just not your game plan.
This is LPL. This is RNG. I honestly think that's exactly what's going to happen.
I was going to say, they literally drafted Rakan plus Xin plus Galio to just hard engage on those two and just try and squish them like bugs. You know it's going to happen.
All right, I was informed. Monitor issue on the RNG side, so sorting that one out. I'll tell you an ETA when I get one, but that is what happened. So hardware, something or other on the RNG side.
All right, well, that should be cleaned up, no problem here. So we'll dive right back in, and we get to see kind of the turning points where
that was just the most interesting place to stop, right? Like literally, right when we come back,
walking away from
the turning point is gonna be right there.
So many games even in the current meta have had that very pivotal decision between giant change in the map that does come with Rift Herald. So excited to see how these swap pulls out. I know that the escape should be pretty easy.
Spoilers, we're going back in.
All right, good.
Wow, look at that. My predictions have been good so far. Throws another meat cleaver, not too bad, but here we go. Top lane turret has yet to lose a plate, but it's about to lose 5 because we got a 3v2 up here. Rakan finally showing up for a 3v3, and
Brian also hovering.
Yeah, that's true. With the Galio, you can't make the play, so Scout calling, hey, by the way, I don't see a mid laner, but will there be a dive?
This has actually happened so many times when RNG, go to Xiaohu early, other teams try and answer, and then RNG usually just double down on it. So Cryan hovering to ult on top side, plus Ming's roam, they definitely want to make the counterplay.
All right, Herald Charge only going to be in the 2 plates, so unless it does a bit more afterwards. So good job holding the wave so far. Quick ult for a way to try to slow him off. The unstoppable Olaf going to make the play as best he can. Ming burns the flash and gets pretty much nothing as Mako flashes away himself.
So telegraphed that this time around, EDG come out big advantage. Only Mako's flash is the payment. for this play. Ming flashes in with his ultimate ready, trying to threaten for Cryan Galio, but the communication is actually here this time. That's the difference. And guess what? By default, you will win more from EDG because you're the ones pushing. You force their overcommitment of 4 people to top side, and Scout, the other hyper-scaling member on this team, the other big carry for the backline for those team fights later, continues to eat up.
We can also see that EDG just went out on the map because of the time RNG spent looking for that play right. Cryan knowing he's going to give up something mid. Scout can turn mid first. He does deny a bit of CS, and even Flandre going and picking up the bot side Scuttle Crab. So nice utilization of time by EDG to just pick up more resources and deny more from RNG.
It's funny, it's like so many times when you have these split maps, RNG are willing to pay to force Xiaohu ahead, but the people you're paying are Scout and Viper. And EDG are like, okay, we shall take that deal. Pay us handsomely, we will get our carries fed.
Yeah, at the very least, though, the Herald play had to be shared. Viper was obviously tri-laning for a while, and you got kind of the low end of value, right, with just the 2 plates. Now, that's still going well, right? Again, we're not going to discount the fact that Scout and Viper are going to be massive late game, but, you know, we've seen bigger Herald plays, all I'm going to say, as ults traded very briefly. Now the bullet time to the bot lane into the shield, and the heal for move speed. Viper knew he needed to get out of there as fast as possible, but it's just a wave traded back and forth, and they're going to keep pushing down here.
Yeah, and I mean, they just denied 2 ultimates from RNG, and RNG definitely feel like the more ultimate reliant comp than EDG, who are fine just going DPS for DPS, not really relying on those. No objectives up just yet. Dragon will be up soon, though. Looks like both teams hovering towards the top side. EDG realizing the answer.
Lei is in a 1v2, though, as Flanders coming around as well. Cryan is walking up with his Predator, but it's not going to be anything more to be had. They knocked on the wave, or the ward, just in time. And as you mentioned, Dragon up in 10 seconds as Lucian and Graves meet each other. JJ and Wei. Okay, going back in towards Flandre. He's going to have a Galio somewhat soon, but just kind of pushing him off, going for pressure up top.
Yeah, you know, if RNG are forcing fights on top side, they've got their 3rd summoner spell ready, the Galio ult, ready to join any of these fights. So they can play extremely aggressively, forcing in, just blast cone over. Scout has walked his way here, though, and they want...
Wei no ult. Wei could be attacked. He's going to force the flash away. Scout wants in. Not going to go for the big scoop, though. Could have gone for the flash ult, but doesn't as Cryan TP's in. Gale forces big damage. Will not find a kill, though, and Scout is just free hitting for this fight, and he might go in for more. Next equal ends up in 3 seconds. He can scoop 3. W, EQ, flash R, gets knocked up, gets taunted, the ult does absolutely nothing, but Wei delivers himself to death. It's a 1-for-1, but the damage is gonna come across. So Cryan, he's gonna be doing as his name speaks, that ult was a delivery of death.
Yeah, that was so close coming out from both sides. EDG thinking they can turn it around, but Scout is squishy. Sure, he was able to find the ult on 1, but the fact that they come out ahead with 2, with Wei trying to recommit for that 2nd kill, I mean, bodes well for EDG. They're keeping the game even. They're actually even slightly ahead in terms of gold at this point in time.
Yeah, a lot of extra chunk damage there taken by RNG. Even walking up there, Cryan takes a tower shot before it happens. And with the health lead, EDG feel comfortable forcing it. Does result pretty close here, but the extra pickup still going to be their advantage because bottom side gets to play unattended. Viper, Mako continue to push in. Red Gun as well will finish up the healing.
And we're going to see what happens here. Scout now so strong at this point in time, can just instantly force in the wave. Really nice engage, looking for him. Forcing Wade's flash out immediately. Cryan, hoping he can look for this. Does get chunked. They aren't able to go for the dive. And like you were saying, Freak, Scout knowing, hey, I just need to wait for that E to come up. They're gonna look to recapitalize on it. It's pretty healthy in terms of HP, but really nice E coming out from trying to knock up and more action.
And they're forcing the summoners out of Viper, though. The heal early of the flash this time around. The bullet times have been good from Gala. They were good last game as well. But the problem is RNG are now suffering a deficit, down 1,000 gold and down the first dragon. EDG walking towards their 2nd win in this series as they're going to look for a tower dive here. Great win becomes lightning. Viper gets the ulti, gets the Guardian Shield, is going to force the dive off for now, but Cryan's on the way over. Cryan does not have Predator. It was popped just now. He's running fast.
Scout has teleport.
Okay, but will it be enough? Scout does have ulti, and that might call them off.
EDG, though, are actually winning so much on the opposite side of the map as well, so they not only prevent this play, but RNG can't get anything.
Beautiful stuff there from Viper. I assume that is his shot calling because he's the one who walks up, stays at the tower. He says, we can defend this dive. Lulu, come to me. Mako walks up. They confidently fight them off of that wave while they are split, threatening the tower dive. And then when you see, you know Scout has teleport available, they've got the extra trump card to win the map play. So extra objective there, pushed out on top side. EDG will trade. They get the top side turret. They get the top side Rift Trail. Dragon traded over, though.
Now it's going to be so nice for the side of EDG. You assume they're going to want to look to use this one probably in the mid lane. And for RNG, their comp doesn't actually have a ton of wave clear. So once EDG get going, they get the siege going, especially with the Aphelios and Azir. RNG don't have great ways to answer. Sure, Lucian's a bit ahead, but EDG have done a nice job of playing around Flandre to make sure he isn't falling too far behind. So I don't think RNG will even necessarily have the side lane place to commit to.
Ooh, I think if bullet time was up, they would have maybe tried for that play because Ming could have tried to go for a flash W lockdown and Viper could have been in danger, but cooldowns weren't up, no play to be had. It is 1-1 on Dragons, but it is a 1,500 gold lead to Edward Gaming. Wei and JJ in a fight. Once again, the ult comes off for the Olaf. Mako is here though for the shield. Wei's gonna ult, but he's not gonna get out of the range of this one. Scout could go for the big play. Doesn't just yet. Here comes the damage. Looks for a knockup, not gonna find it. Cryin is gonna fall alongside his support. 2-0 EDG taking complete control of this game.
I like that Graves, Flandre. He walks for the team play. So much more of a team player. Flashes over the wall, gets the extra 2 kills. And EDG now get free roam of the map. The hard pushing down middle with the Rift Herald ensures Viper is going to get another one.
Yeah, and there's just really no way for RNG to answer. Xiaohu gets the wave all the way in top. He does get one turret, but now massive gold lead opening up for the side of EDG. RNG kind of forced to take that fight with the way EDG walked in, but again, we always knew RNG were going to take the fight, Freak. It's RNG, it's LPL, they draft this comp, they're going to go for the fight.
And Galio doesn't give you nearly as much an advantage when you pick the Olaf like this as the jungle duels happen. JJ, he even respected it still, giving good room while trading back onto the Xin, so chunking down Wei so Wei could not commit further. Ming even takes a decent amount there as well, and with Mako coming over, just so well played. The cautious aggression here from EDG, outputting damage while taking down so much of the threat. And then since they knew they had the earlier play called from Flandre walking all the way down from topside.
Another dive.
After pushing, this one.
All 5. It's everyone against 3. Scout topside, no teleport. It's a 5v4, and RNG unwilling to be able to take this fight. Not powerful enough, the turret's in the way, ult's in for Wei. Here comes the charm. It hits an Olaf, which does not matter. Find the dive bomb through the cross, and they have knocked down Viper. Olaf ult ends, maybe they've got it. It is, again, a 5v4. This should be an RNG win, and barely they find the +1. But across the map, Scout is attacking a turret.
That's the thing, this is exactly what Kobe was talking about earlier, that RNG just keep hard committing to these plays, overloading one side of the map, and someone on EDG is always benefiting so much, and it's always one of their hyper carries. Sure, you get a few kills and you get one turret back, but I still feel like this was a fine trade for EDG, but I do understand that RNG are in a position where they feel pressured to look for any play that they can.
Yeah, they can kind of see their time running out. All of this early game money that you have paid to the Azir, to the Aphelios, is getting scarier and scarier. So they feel like they have to just hard commit. 5 people. The problem for them is they're split by the tower. So Gala actually has to walk up into tower range, but really beneficial for RNG to be able to get that kill. They know Viper has no flash. So Gala ultimate plus Galio ultimate gets the kill onto Viper, and without that damage source, they can actually clean up the extra scraps here. RNG needed some sort of leverage like that to be able to give them some hope here, because as you say, it is definitely slipping away from them with the scaling from EDG. They did take down Viper, they got a little bit for themselves, and they invested the teleport from Cryin to stop the tower take from Scout. Since secondary turrets have so much gold in them, it becomes really difficult to try and fight the Azir if he gets that bonus as well. Have to say though, EDG feeling quite powerful.
Especially in this position on the map where, like you just said, Cry not having the TP, doesn't have his ultimate available to where both of EDG soul laners do have TP, so they can play the map wide.
Good smoke bomb means he can't really fight back. Flynder looks pretty good on that fight. TP comes down for a Scout, but there's not a fight to be had, so that is a cooldown down. Viper left alone to clear the mid lane, can shove that one no problem. Yeah, it will be answered by Gala's misfortune. We can see EDG up 2,500 gold. And the next dragon spawns in 50 seconds. We'll see if they have rights to it, and they can shut out one other RNG win condition.
Yeah, and I think EDG, a little bit hasty with the TP, but at least now they will just continue to be able to control mid-wave. RNG, realizing the play, need to just send Xiaohu bot, push that in. And I feel like if RNG even did want to contest Dragon, it would have to come through that bottom quadrant. But it looks like RNG probably won't even go for it. Maybe just make your way up towards topside. Realize that 5v5ing into EDG right now is just too hard.
Time ticks down. 20 seconds to the Dragon. EDG, over the last 4 years, have beat RNG in 1 best-of-5. or best of 3. It's a series. They've lost 10 of them.
Yep.
It is a one-sided track record over recent memory. But EDG, new top laner, it's looking good so far. Right now, poised to win the second game in this series. Their second game of this series.
Leashing Dragon here while jungle's still walking over because they have the extra warding and because they can see the positioning there from RNG. Just had a reveal on the Galio as he walked on down. Good call here from EDG. They picked that one up without any sort of bloodshed. Next recall here, just reset and transition your vision coverage over to the top side of the map now. That bottom side objective has already been taken, so start clearing out the wards and set up for your pressure, drawing out RNG. You know that they're going to start to get a little desperate. So you can afford to go for some more risky plays, especially since you've got Olaf to be able to check and use the ultimate with the speed up there from Lulu. Should be able to get some decent cooldowns out, even if you get caught when you're trying to force this vision coverage.
I feel like this is where RNG probably need to get a little bit more creative. For their side, having your bot lane and jungle try and contest mid, make the members of EDG show, and then commit Crine and Xiaohu down towards the bottom side trying to find a pick onto Flandre. If they can kill Flandre, it doesn't matter if EDG start Baron, Xiaohu will still have the TP to join up, then it would just be a 4v4 while Crine joins. Beyond that play, I feel like as RNG, you're just looking for either oversteps coming out from EDG or those cheeky brush plays that we see every now and then.
Second Dragon. 3:45 to go. We know Baron is up. And we're looking for that cheeky brush play, right? Is RNG going to find the way back in off this 2,500 gold deficit? Does EDG keep on steamrolling? Because we are hitting these item spikes. Collector is not far away for Viper. Scouts had Azonia's done since right before that Dragon fight. He's got a stopwatch on top.
Yep, and the problem is there are a lot of combo breaker items that you can invest in to avoid the type of comeback plays that RNG are looking for. And guess what? They've done just that. Stopwatch plus Zhonya's here from Scout. He spent 650 extra gold to ensure that he has 2 Zhonya's activations for the Galio engage, plus the overcommitment that might come afterwards. Meanwhile, you look at the other carry, it's Shield Bow was rushed there by Viper. He's got double summoner spells and his Lulu right beside him, ready to protect. Meanwhile, the other one to look at is the Olaf. So a lot of these combo breakers in the Sterix and Gore Drinker combination there are prepped for EDG, expecting that kind of surprise play from RNG. So maybe they have to hope for some magic in the Xiaohu Split Bush Lucian. This is one of the most iconic champion player combination, hyped up so much, but now it's got to pay out.
I do think we can maybe see RNG come out with some of the brilliance they showed us at MSI in terms of like cross-mapping and playing split push, but I do feel like that style working out also does depend on the enemy team making some mistakes and like not knowing what trades are available or not being willing to pull the trigger on other big objectives like the Baron. And sadly, from what we've seen EDG so far, especially from last game, is that they are willing to pull the trigger, they are willing to look for these plays, but EDG...
Right now, Way's going to be rooted in place. Is it going to be enough damage? Of course, has the ultimate, needs it, pops it. Stay alive for now, gets a slow, but Jijia inside the circle. Nah, he's got reinforcements now as Xiaohu shows up, and it's going to be walking away. But the goal lead has now grown to 3,000 towards EDG.
And look at the map while they're making this play. They literally pushed in both side lanes while they're making the pick to get the Xin ultimate out. You've got Scout pushing top side unanswered while Flandre shoved in bottom side wave. This forces Xiaohu to go get one more, push it back out, pick up his red before transferring over, and that's the way that you get all of this vision coverage. We were talking about how are they going to move in, get this blue area warded. Well, they've done just that, pushing across the rest of the map, and now finishing up the second tower here for EDG. It's just been so controlled for them. The discipline from this team on the world stage when they're facing so much pressure.
I feel like that's a big thing about EDG is when the game is even or when they're behind, they can be a bit scrappy, they can be a bit chaotic. Once EDG finds the leads is when you see their meticulous nature come out, them taking it slow, trying to choke you out, steal away individual jungle camps, and they realize that that's all they need to do. The ball is in RNG's court to try and find a way back into this game.
Guess what? Another stopwatch appears.
Oh,
now,
no.
Not only does Viper have double summoners, Flash and Lulu, also has stopwatch of his own, so they just have so many answers before RNG even posed the question to them.
Well, we'll see. The question, though, is Xiaohu split pushing. He is on 3 items, and you don't stopwatch your own turrets. If there's a way for him to get the side lane to go, You know, you flip it up on them, you recode the experiment, and you pull a Picard on everybody, and suddenly it looks good. Captain Kirk, actually, not Picard. Whatever. Regardless, I've got, you know, my nerd cred, and we'll see if they can find a split push.
I feel like right now what RNG maybe is thinking is if EDG commit down towards Dragon, we just try to commit towards a Baron play because we do have both Lucian and Misfortune. But EDG are kind of reading it well.
Yahoo, yeah, just gonna go ahead and show up on the Baron. They want to cross map if they can, but here's the thing. Flandre is gonna solo the Dragon.
Yeah, Freak, your big plan there for the side lane just lost his teleport. Now Xiaohu, no teleport. EDG will get the Dragon. They're just destroying them with every extra piece of leverage and haven't even had to play any cards.
Yeah, cool. They fold again. You TP to walk it like... The Baron already had a ward on it. You could see the ward on Baron. I'm not sure what you're teleporting into, but it's a Dragon seated with no contest. It's a teleport down for literally no gain, and now we have mid-pressure.
And you know what that means? Flandre's pushing on side. EDG, no. Just don't expose yourself. Nobody get caught right now. All we have to do is buy time. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, observers.
Walking.
Picture in picture is Flandre doing work on the tower, and it forces RNG into the precarious position of giving up on both sides. They cannot force on Baron, so they have to rush him down.
That's a good slow. That's going to be Galio in range. They can get this kill.
Oh, they got it.
At least a kill on the board. They are going to get it. They're going to get the shutdown. And does anything answer back?
And let's remember that this is exactly what almost gave RNG hope in the last game. They fell so far behind, but they started just committing to picking Flandre off in a side lane because EDG have shown they aren't the best at juggling this balance between, okay, well, Graves is forward, our mid trio is back, and kind of playing the push and pull.
And kind of like last game, we start to see some small cracks in the perfect imagined game for EDG using all of these advantages. They don't actually, even with the vision that they had outside Baron, call for Flandre to pull off early. And so they're punished a little bit for that. Some gold handed back to RNG. It's not going to result in any game-changing objectives. Not going to result in a big difference on the map. But it is something to think about with some of these plays, especially since Worlds is a long tournament and you're looking even further than this series sometimes.
And you got to look further than 3,000 gold here as well. As EDG, they may have lost one member, but they know they are 3 minutes away from a Cloud Soul. They have most of the vision control. Not everything. Baron is not completely under lock and key, but you have to imagine they head that way pretty soon. Flandre is still just scaling and scaling and scaling. Yeah, 1-4 is not a great scoreline, but he absorbed all of the pressure. It allowed Scout and Viper to have so much farm to take it over the line.
And now it looks like RNG realizing Flandre's still split pushing in bot side. We need to try to force EDG into a, I'd say, more varied position. They were starting to make their way up towards Baron. I actually thought that they were just going to start and say, hey, it doesn't matter. We need to flip this game somehow. A 50-50 is better than anything else we have if this game just keeps going the way it is. But no, RNG walk in a river, realize they really can't do anything because EDG just have such big control over the mid wave. But still, they're just slowly bleeding out.
50-50 is better than 1-3. It's better than 45-49.
Are you gonna list off literally every combination now?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Just checking.
Nope. That was the limit, though, of the things I care about the scoreboard. Dragon count, gold lead, and it's looking pretty good. Wei now wants it at Hajija. Ult comes across, easily walking away. You know, it is good damage, but Mako saved his ult. Everyone else saved summoners, so, you know, you got a little bit done. Technically, you have an advantage on the cooldowns, but he's going to heal back up in time.
Yeah, you have to kind of work your way in as RNG, unless some big positioning arrow exposes itself and then you jump on that opportunity. But barring that, you do have to work one cooldown at a time. And the Olaf is a very short one as far as the ultimate. Kind of mentioned that as one of the safety measures for EDG to be able to make some of those moves. It's something that you would have to punish extremely quickly this late into the game. And JJ seems like he should be able to buy that time.
He's going to get himself a dragon, or at least this scuttle. The dragon spawning in a minute 20. And RNG running out of time. At the end of the day, as soon as this Cloud Soul is claimed, you're going to get out-rotated. The ult cooldown's get even shorter to make sure that Olaf is never caught again. And I don't know how you come back at that point if that happens.
You just have to prep yourself to be ready. Sometimes the door of opportunity opens wide in front of your face. Sometimes a carry flashes into you, Arcane shifts forward.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so you have to be ready to jump on those moments.
I also feel like for RNG, if those moments don't start to present themselves soon, especially as we're getting closer to a soul for EDG, RNG just need to be willing to pull the trigger and hope that they're able to find something. Hope that some kind of rash engage just force EDG into a mistake. But they're finally going for it. They're going for the Baron flip.
They are right on top of vision. Of course, we know the scuttle is dead and it belongs to EDG, so it's burning down and burning down. JJ's going to be in range. He's going to be taunted. His ulti is up. Bullet time puts him to the side, and Baron has been stopped. Ming waiting for the flank play. Does he go in? Viper's going to mark him. Second time around. Can they keep him away? It's at 2K. They can burn this down. They find the first bit of CC. Oh, JJ who claims it. He gets the Baron anyway. And the team fight begins. Scout knocks up one, and it's going to be a slaughter. But a stop point is popped. Way is alive. Scout for his second Zodius. Viper alone, but he has Mako. And that's a shutdown over to the Sinjao. And Viper, he's got the red gun. He's got the lifesteal. And he's got a Lulu. You left him alone the entire game. And Viper sends his regards. You let an Aphelios free farm. And it's RNG forced it away. The Dragon's alive, and it belongs to EDG after.
Viper, Ming's gonna try and hop the wall just long enough to get him out, and it's gonna be the objective in the aftermath, though. My goodness, JJ with one of the most fulfilling plays as a jungler, just walking in, low health as flashes in, gets the kill onto Baron. EDG are so happy now because your road towards the end game is now paved cleanly. Keep your eyes on JJ. He gets chunked out. His ultimate is burned super early, and yet he still knows his job, sticks around, goes for the full commitment on the Baron. Is it the smite, or does he get into melee range? Let's see.
Axe, no,
Could get axe or E.
Picked up his axe.
Wait, it's 130. Oh, 30 health. He flashes in for the smite. 30 health. The early smite on the other side.
That's just so unfortunate coming out for RNG. They knew they needed to go for this crazy play. It didn't work out for them. Maybe the spike comes through. RNG are able to back off. The fight gets extended, and this is what we were talking about Viper just cashing in all game, being left alone for those plates, and they're able to just follow up with that.
Yeah. If he gets that smite, they win that fight. At least someone else levels up, and the fight is different.
And the thing is, there was one of those doors that opened. Scout went in for the big sweep there towards the end on Gala. Didn't quite get it. That's what caused Viper to flash in and burn his summoner early on to try and save for the commitment. But now they're wearing Baron, and they're coming for the base.
We're going to end it here. EDG want the 2-1 start to the series. Oh, and that is a deletion. Cryan dropped so much farm this game. By the way, he's over 100 CS below Scout because it was all about their own plays. And sadly, they didn't work in the end. The gold lead is 7,000, and the base is falling rapidly. Cryan dead for 35 seconds. EDG going for the throat now. Bullet time not bad. Gonna knock down the wave. We'll have to wait a few more moments as the shields block bullet time. The one cannon is still shooting at the Nexus turrets.
And I mean, for EDG, they just need to take this slow. They have a wave coming in bot. They could even honestly just take mid tower if they want with how low it is, but just going to wait for that next wave and continue to poke them down with all the range advantage that they do have over RNG.
All right, wave buffed up, 5v4 for 10 seconds. Here we go onto the turret. Sahu forced back onto the fountain. Flandre a bit low, knocked up and goes down. Gala finds the kill. Thank you, 4-item AD carry. As Cryan respawns, we get a brief respite. Red Bull Baron power play still 3,200 gold. EDG have a gigantic lead, deaths or not.
You guys keep mentioning the history of these two teams. And RNG, massive, massive recent history. Last 4 years, 10-1. But let me tell you one thing that has changed since all of those series. EDG now have Viper. 1 year change, Viper comes in for EDG, and all of a sudden, they're back at Worlds for the first time since 2018, and all of a sudden, they are poised to take the advantage in this series.
I definitely think when you look at EDG we're looking at them now, we're going to see what happens with Flandre. Just getting very aggressive, thinking he has enough burst to bring Xiaohu down. But Gala right now, extremely strong knockup coming in clutch from Way. And sadly, EDG have to back off from this.
Everybody's had that game, you know, you put in so much work, 35 minutes in, you're wearing Baron, you know you've got this one, and you're just poking them around tower, around Nexus. It's gonna give a little bit of an opening here at RNG, but it is the smallest window.
7,000 gold is the deficit to work back from. The EDG looking to put the nails in the coffins, to weld the hatches shut. and bury it under 6 feet of soil. Flandre gonna take some damage, not quite in range. That's gonna be a little bit of the cooling landing. Mako flashes, get his ult, get to his teammate. Olaf forced back, Cryan stays alive. Flandre gets his exhaust off the Xiaohu, but they find the kill. Wei knocks up, gets the ulti. Bullet time not too bad. No knockup just yet, but Wei is in for round 2. Stop onto the Viper. JJ forced low. JJ does have a
got him!
Xiaohu is gonna be pushed low. Stays alive. The axe won't land. RNG actually found the team fight, but Scout is here, and the Scout's goes to leave no man behind, but he will fall. The scoop back might mean Ming. Nah, he's gonna be fine. Mako's back to the retreat. The bot lane wave goes to the turret, but that will not knock it down.
It's so sad for RNG. They find the fight, but they actually don't have a way to look for ending the game. They don't have an objective to turn this into. And man, it just feels so rough. Xiaohu and Ming going in. Kobe, they did it!
Just when you think you know they're closed out, RNG will always throw another punch. They break the glass on that window, make you think again. Are they going to be able to make the comeback? They did not complete on that comeback in the previous game, but they continue to fight for them, trying to pry open an opening. And this one is on Flandre again. He, remember, does not have flash from the bottom side, Nexus play that you just saw. So Xiaohu's saying, this is our chance. Goes all in on him. They get the advantage, even with the flashes from both supports getting over there. They pick up the kill. They have him on the run for the team fight, and they continue to collect.
And especially, I think Wei continues to go in, just being so decisive with these engages to make sure they take Viper down. Then they keep going because RNG need to. They know how far behind they are in this play, but I don't think this play matters because if we look at our screen, another Baron fight's coming through.
All right, 5v5 in the top river. Waves slowly flooding into the bottom lane. It's going to be a little while, but eventually RNG must answer that because that Nexus turret is dangerously low. So they start the Baron. They know they have the time pressure. They must do this. Cryan will try to mark JJ, whose flash is down. Does it happen again? Will we get another Baron steal?
Oh, it does it again!
We do! Again and again! Jungle Diff is the name of the game, and it's gonna be Wei saying, you know what? Take me! I deserve to die after these 2 failed smites. Xiaohu left alone, he got all of the help, and yet he is still helpless as he runs away to stay alive for a few more pitiful moments. Forces Azonia's out of Scout, but here's Flandre, the man who was ganked so many times. He sends his regards, and Scout knocks him down. It's time to close the game. 2 are left alive. 2 are greater than 1. They will kill Flandre, but it is still 2 versus 4. Midwave pushed in. Baron still being warned for a solid 2 minutes. On to the Nexus turrets we go. First another attack, second one probably the better target. It's already low. Ming respawns, Wei is up in 8. This game may not yet end. Viper is killed. Cryan will not find the top, but he will Zonia's away. The shields may time out, but they still kill the RNG mid laner. 3 versus 3. Dragon is up. Elder Dragon is here. The scoop is perfectly timed. Scout will stay alive. Wei will drop, as will his support. Gala is left alone. And finally, the turrets will fall. EDG with a 1-kill lead will take us to game 4 with the 2-1 lead.
I love the picture of the coaching staff. Everyone saying, oh, sit back down. Flandre's dead at the Nexus again. There's a chance we don't get to end it on this play, but they do at that push it forward. As soon as Scout joins that push, they finish on the Nexus. And my goodness, take a bow, JJ. Back to back, walking in versus the entire rest of the team. Just Olaf ult on, screaming, I'm willing to go to Valhalla for this smite. I'm going to land it. He does just that. It's such a mental edge. You really can't do much more of destroying another